Hi my dear students. In this episode, I am going to present a wonderful career. Recall your school days time and how the teaching was done and what was the method used. How difficult or easy was it for you to understand a concept? The various methodologies used. Now that's going to be the subject of today's career. The name of this career is Instructional Edu Design. Instructional Edu Design. So there are three words: instruction, education, designing. Simple. See what happens in a classroom? Something is taught and something is learnt. The equation of teaching and learning is very, very important. Supposing I teach 10 units of a lesson, a concept. The ideal situation is the 10 units are learnt. If I teach 10 units, if 50% is learnt, then the efficiency is only 50%. What do teachers want? They want 100% efficiency. What do students want? 100%. Parents, of course, 100%. So there is always a gap between teaching and learning for various reasons. One reason is, there is so much to be learnt. Compared to some 30, 40, 50 years ago, look at the volume. I'm sure you will go back to your plus 2 and recall how much you had to cram inside your mind. And a time has come when we have to look at the efficiency. A road is not laid the same way it was laid some 40 years ago. An automobile is not made the way it was made 40 years ago. A cinema is not produced the way it was made 30, 40 years ago. Why for that matter? Your mother is not cooking the way the grandmother cooked. So there is completely a change. The one common denominator in all this, use of technology. We have a different technology for road laying, we have a different technology for building a house, we have a different technology for automobile manufacturing, we have a different technology for cooking. And so the technology of teaching and learning also should change. That's why we are talking about Instructional Edu Design. I collected some statistics. What is the scope for teaching and learning? There are 8.4 lakhs primary schools in India. 4.3 lakhs upper primary schools in India. 1.4 lakhs secondary schools. 1.15 lakhs senior secondary schools. Totally 15 lakhs 25,000 schools in India. 15 lakhs 25,000 schools in India. You take an average of about 1,000 students minimum on an average and look at the population. And also let us look at what's happening in the teaching fraternity. How many of the teachers have chosen to teach voluntarily? Have chosen voluntarily, okay? More often than not, teaching is not the best career for many, but the future is going to be different. That's why we are talking about the education instructional design, okay? So lack of quality of teachers. I am an educationist for the past nearly 4 decades. I find adequacy of teachers is not very satisfactory. Quality teachers I am talking about. weak infrastructure. Look at the classrooms, look at what is required. For a change, go to the Google and find out how schools are in Western countries, developed countries. Even the process of learning, mostly it is rote learning, right? Memorizing, cramming to your mind. And all your 15 years of learning is tested in 3 hours. You may be a brilliant student all these years up to the 11th standard. On the 12th standard, on the day of the exam, if something happens, finished. Now look at what's happening in the classroom. The attention span is coming down because there are so many things to think about. So there is a need to give personal attention to students. More number of students. Now education has become a household name. Every parent wants their wards to be doctors, engineers, IAS officers, judges, lawyers, chartered accountants and whatnot. And proliferation and mushrooming of schools. Look at the number of schools in your area which has come up in the last 5 years' time. Look at the gadgets in the hands of students. Look at the apps. Look at the growth in internet and smartphone. Now, this is the environment in which we are going to talk about instructional edu design. In the recent past, the COVID has introduced a new dimension to the learning teaching process. The process of teaching has changed. It's said about 1.2 billion children are outside the classroom today world over. And one has to use the internet, one has to read the distant learning. I'm not talking about the higher education. Now, in higher education, already we have a distant learning platform. A lot of universities offer their learning through the internet platform. The research says that in a classroom, the retention is about 8 to 10% in a classroom. For example, if you have understood or if you have taught 10 units, or in a classroom, if 100 units are taught, you retain about 8 to 10%. That's the statistics says. Whereas in online e-learning platform, it's about 40 to 50%. This is the research says. And that's why all the more reason why these days there is so much of popularity on online learning. Now look at the market. Education sector, I'm reading a statistics. It is 400 million, that's about 40 crores. And it's growing. India's online education market alone is set to grow, it says $2 billion US. That's about 1,444 crores, 92 lakhs. That's the volume of market available. And so there is going to be so much demand for instructional edu design. Okay. So what these people do, they look at the curriculum, they look at the subject, they look at the psychology of learning, teaching, and then design a process most suitable for today's environment. It's not anymore blackboard, slate. I don't know how many of you would have seen a slate. I have studied in a slate. How many of you use a notebook anymore? How many of you use a fountain pen anymore? Everything is tab. Okay. So you can Google search Instructional Edu Design. That is the course I'm talking about. Now, what are the courses? Postgraduate Diploma in Instructional Design, MA in Professional Practice and Design in Education, or MSc in Education, Learning, Design and Technology. I've just taken a few from the internet. You can Google search. Which are the institutes which offer? I got a sample, of course. You can Google search, you will be able to get more. Stanford Graduate School of Education, California. That's one place you can go and do it. If you want in India, there are two places: Srishti Institute of Art, Design and Technology, Bengaluru. Another one, Symbiosis Center for Distant Learning, Pune. These are the places. And so to sum up, lot of changes are taking place in teaching learning technology. As we have employed technology in other areas like road laying or automobile manufacturing or cooking or producing a movie, even in education, learning, teaching process, we have to change. The process of learning from rote memory, from teacher-led to student-led, from cramming rote memory to creative learning, from a dull classroom to an interesting classroom, from a monologue to a dialogue, more and more experiential learning, visuals and audios, videos. This is going to be the future, and there's going to be so much of market. There will be two spin-off from this. More number of teachers will be required, and those teachers will belong to a different category. Now today, if you take a teacher and ask her to teach in a classroom which was there some 50 years ago, nobody will be willing to come and teach. If you put today's student in a classroom which existed 50 years ago, no student will be willing to attend a classroom. So this is the scenario, this is the market, this is the program, this is the profession, these are the places. So you get ready for an exciting career in this. To add to all this, the next 2.5 years to 3 years, India is launching one of the world's best education process, National Education Policy, otherwise called NEP. Lot of discussions have taken place and shortly it is going to be introduced. And in that context, with the increased expectations of parents, with the infinite potential the world has got to offer, instructional education design is going to be the future. Go through the website, get more information and get excited. Please subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be presenting more and more exciting career. All the best. Take care.
SRM JV is not just a school, it's a one-time experience.
VM Nagar, Tiruvallur,